Thanks for joining us today. I'm Gabe with Backwoods Pursuit. Today we're going to talk about how to choose the right peep sight size for your setup, and specifically for me, the best peep sight for hunting purposes, because that's what I'm going to be using it for primarily. Now, the right peep sight size is going to make sure that you have the correct peep sight picture when you're looking through your peep out to your sight. So make sure you get the right and consistent alignment so you can be on target with your shots. So come along as we do that. As always, we really do appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button for us. If you like our content, give the video a like if it's helpful for you. And check us out on our website, backwoodspursuit.com, as well as on our Facebook and Instagram accounts, Backwoods Pursuit over there. I'll put links to all that down in the description. Let's go get started. Now, to start out, when you're selecting the right peep sight for your specific setup, we're going to cover there's a number of different sizes. Of course, there's a wide range of sizes in the peeps, but primarily there's just three sizes that cover most of us in the hunting world when we're out there in the woods. So that's going to range from a 1/4 inch aperture or 1/4 inch opening down to an 1/8 of an inch. With between that, the 3/16 is probably the most popular out there. So you can see, if I can get my hands out of the way here for you. You've got a larger 1/4 inch on this side over here, and then this is more of your 3/16 or your standard, and then I don't even have an 1/8 of an inch because that's one that I've never personally used, but it's very much smaller opening. So the differences there are going to be, your 1/4 inch is going to gather more light, but it can be more difficult to be as precise and accurate when you have a larger opening there, but you do have a better light gathering ability on that. And then of course the smaller you get, depending on a number of other factors, you can have a little bit better accuracy typically, but the light gathering is not quite as good. So you have to find that balance for you. But for most people, I would say that 3/16 is going to be pretty close. So that's where I would start to see if that's going to work for your specific setup and go from there. Now, as you're probably aware, there's a couple types of peeps as well, or two primary types. One being like this, where it's a tubeless style, so free floating. And then you also have this type here where you've got the peep tube that helps with the peep alignment. Now, most of the time, I would say most folks are going to go with the floating style or the tubeless style. And that's the style that I personally prefer. I've had the tube break on me at inopportune times, so it's kind of a pain that way. But the thing with the floating style is that you do need to make sure that your bow is tuned well and you have a good quality string so you don't get any twisting in the draw cycle. So those are some of the basics as far as the types of peeps. And now let's look at what's going to affect the peep sight picture to make sure you get the proper picture for your specific setup. So the first step before we decide what size specifically you need to be looking for is, what is the sight picture supposed to look like when you're looking through your peep? So I made a piece of paper here to simplify this. It's a little easier to control this than try to put that peep all the way up to the camera lens. So there's a couple different ways that people like to do this. So if this is your peep sight here, pretend that's back on your bow. Some people like to have this right to where you've got, so I'm going to line that up for you, to where like that, where you are seeing all of the sight ring basically. Now some people like to see a little bit of daylight all the way around your sight ring. So either way works really well, but what you don't want is something like this. So this is a larger housing. That one's the black gold mountain light, and so it's a just under 2-inch housing. This one's a little bit bigger. So what you don't want is something like this where you can't see the sight ring at all, and so that allows you variation when you come to anchor within that, looking through that peep sight. So again, something on this here, you would still, same kind of concept there. You want to be able to see that ring around the housing, about like that. So that's one factor that's going to determine the size of the peep. Now, of course, your draw length can come into play there, because the farther away the string is from that sight, it's going to change the aperture or the size of the peep that you need. The other thing that comes into play here is the type of sight that you're using. This one here is just a dovetail or not a dovetail, but just a straight mount directly to the riser. So you have a couple of different positions there, but it's pretty minimal in the adjustments that way, as opposed to something like this Spot Hog here, or others of the black gold have that as well, where you have all of these adjustments here to make sure that you can move this sight further or away from the riser to get that peep alignment just perfect. So this is less of a, or more of a micro adjustment once you've got pretty close on that sight or pretty close on the peep. And so this would be the last adjustment you want to make, is move this in and out if you have a type of sight that does that. So those are all factors that can come into play in affecting what size you want to pick and what's going to be best for your setup. Now, just for reference, for my setup, I'm a 30-inch draw, and I've got a dovetail sight, or the wing truss like Black Gold calls it here, or the dovetail on the Spot Hog Fast Steady XL. Either one works great. I'm playing with both of those sights right now to see which one is going to work best for me and my setup. But I've got that sight, so I can move this in and out like I showed earlier. I like to be able to have that adjustment. As far as the peep, I've got the Hamsky Raptor, like I mentioned earlier, and that is in the size 3/16. I've played with the 1/4 inch, and that gets to be a little bit too big. The 1/8 inch gets to where I can't even see my sight ring if I use the 1/8 inch, and the 1/4 inch gets to where I see too much daylight around the sight. So that 3/16 works really well to give me the sight ring picture that I'm looking for, so I can get a good consistent anchor point, a good consistent sight picture on every single shot. That's especially a big deal when you get down range. Now, some people will tend to want to center their pin, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you're still centering your sight ring no matter what pin you're shooting at. So make sure you're doing that as far as your shooting form as well. That'll help you be accurate, in addition to making sure your peep sight is the correct size and set up properly for your bow. So that's the process I go through when I'm setting up and selecting the peep sight. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but I do like these Raptor peeps, and I do like the black color, the matte black, the flat black color. It seems to work really well for me. Some people like colored peeps, and that's fine too. You know, some of the bright colors, or the blues, and there's a whole number of colors you can choose from. Some of them are going to add a little bit of glare. Some of the brighter colors might add that little bit of glare, or add a little bit of daylight as well. So it kind of depends on the situation that you're going to be in, or you find yourself in most of the time. But for me, my hunting situations, the flat black works really, really well. So that's my setup. That's how I go through the process of selecting my peep sight. Hopefully that was helpful for you. If it was, give us a like in the video, and thanks for watching here today, and we'll see you next time.